Hey, Jeremy, welcome to the His and Her Money Show.
Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, how are you guys?
We are great. We're excited to have you on because you have quite a story that our audience that we know can connect with, because lots of folks have like dreams on the inside of kind of being their own man, their own woman, and stepping out and doing something and creating something of their own. But a lot of times life circumstances or life situations holds us back. But you stepped out and made the bold leap of faith, and you were able to start and create something of your own and do it well. So we're excited to be able to share your story with our audience today. But before we get into your story, can you just take a moment and introduce yourself to our audience and let them know what you're all about?
Sure. My name is Jeremy Barnhardt. I am the co-owner and VP of Franchise Development for Apex Fun Run. We are the only fundraising franchise in the world. So we've got a business that not only makes a difference in our communities by teaching leadership and fitness, but we also help schools raise much needed funds.
Awesome. So now you had a very successful career in corporate America. What made you leave your job?
Well, you're right. I had a very successful career, but it was not that rewarding. And there were industry specifics that sort of really took the fun out of it. I enjoyed consulting my clients, helping them with their businesses and making them more successful. But some of the regulations that came out made it very difficult to do that and took the fun out of it. And I also was really working unbelievable hours. I was working all the time. I was traveling all over the country. I had 3 young children back then, as I know you guys have 3 children as well. And I didn't want to have my children grow up with just a father that was rarely there. I wanted to be more present. I wanted to be active. I wanted to be involved. And so I decided it was time for a change.
Awesome. Now, it's one thing to have that thought. It's one thing to have that desire. You talked about the fact that you wanted to be more present with your family. You want to do something meaningful with your life. Lots of folks feel that way, Jeremy. But they go to work every morning just with that thought, just with that idea, and have yet to take action. For you, how were you able to take that from a thought, from an idea, from a hope, from a wish, to actually making it happen? Like, how did you make this transition go forward?
Well, that's a great question, and I have to say the first thing is I was probably more blessed than maybe other people that are listening to are. I had a very successful career. I had been very financially successful, and because of that, it gave me the ability to branch out and do something else without the same maybe level of risk that many others and many of your listeners probably have. And so I completely recognize that for most people, it's a very difficult jump to go from having that steady paycheck every 2 weeks to going out and creating your own business or franchising with an existing business. But at the end of the day, you really have to sometimes take a risk in life. I don't know if you're sports fans or not, but our Arizona Cardinals coach loves to say, no risk it, no biscuit. And so I sort of believe that you get out of life what you put into it. And if you aren't happy with what you're doing and you're not satisfied and you don't feel like you're making a difference, then make a change. And I know that's a lot easier said than done, but I think it's important for people to follow their passions.
Sure. So what do you think holds most people back from pursuing their entrepreneurial dreams?
Fear. I think it's really comes down to fear. I think many people have great ideas, but they're scared and don't know how to implement them. They have responsibilities. We have families, we have children, we have mortgages, we have bills to pay. And because they have that responsibility, they want the stability of that paycheck and have a hard time letting loose of that to really go after their entrepreneurial dreams. Because unfortunately, most businesses in America fail within the first 2 years. And so people know that and they see that and it scares them. Yeah. So I'd say fear is really the number one reason.
Yeah.
Was fear present for you as you were thinking this through, as you were debating whether or not to make this jump? And if it was present, how did you push past it?
Well, for sure. Fear, I think, is always present. I think it wouldn't be normal for anyone not to have a healthy amount of fear. But I think I had a lot of confidence in myself, a lot of confidence in my abilities. I also, again, had been blessed with a lot of experience. I had a lot of clients in my previous life with my firm, so I had seen many, many entrepreneurs in action. And I saw those that succeeded, I saw those that failed, and I learned along the way of the things that it took to succeed in business. Now, there's no guarantees, and things don't always work out the way that they want to, or that you want them to, rather. But I believed in myself, and I believed that I can make anything happen by the amount of effort and work that I'm always willing to pull it in.
So let's talk about some of the steps that you took, practically speaking, when you decided to step out and take on entrepreneurship. What were some of the steps that you did in order to transition from corporate America to now your own business?
Well, I'd say the first step was just the initial jump, and it really is a jump. You know, you have to basically commit yourself and get your family support to know that this is the best move for everyone involved. And then it's a matter of finding what that is your passion and how to pursue it. Many people don't take the time to really sit back and think what their passions truly are and then try to find something that meets those passions. But also, there's not always enough analysis done to figure out where there's a need. When we started our business, we knew there was a need. There was a need for fundraising. There was a need for additional leadership and fitness in students in schools. And we saw it first person from my children and from the experiences at their school. And so we knew there was a need there. Then it was a matter of finding the solution to fill that need. And if there's a need in the marketplace, and if you're a hard worker and you're diligent, you can find a solution. And that's the key, is basically having there be a need. You can't create a business just as your passion if nobody needs or wants that. You need to be able to provide something that's a service or a product that people need and want.
How can somebody kind of evaluate or open their eyes to a need that may be right under their nose, but they're just so used to doing their thing? Like the thing that they do is no big deal to them, but it could really help somebody else out. So how does somebody like evaluate and assess and look around them to figure out a present need that they could potentially solve and make a business out of?
That's a great question. And I think very few people are ever able really to do that. I was blessed in the fact that it was just an idea that was really present in our everyday life. I mean, I have 3 sons. My wife was on the PTO at the school. She saw the struggles they went through for fundraising. She saw that it was mostly unhealthy products that I'm sure you've sold for your kids or with your kids over the years. And so we really saw that there was an opportunity there, but it's not always that easy to identify. I mean, there are, like you said, things every day that people are doing that they might not realize are an opportunity, but it's a matter of finding those pain points. Find the things that people are struggling with, things that they need changed, and try to find a solution, really.
Yeah, that's very true. Now, were there any obstacles along the way that you had to overcome during this entire transition period?
Oh, absolutely. You've got to be able to, for us, we had to find the right system that was going to work. We knew there was a problem there. We knew there were issues with fundraising in schools, with childhood obesity and diabetes in kids all over America. And so we knew the issue was there, but then it was a matter of finding the best solution. And so the best way many times is to see what's already out there and see what the good things are and the bad things are, and try to learn from the best and learn from the worst as well, and find a good mix. And so you've got to figure out what the most important things to you are with your solution. And so that was our biggest challenge, is to find the system that was going to work, but also a system that would work for people all over America and that would solve the 3 things that we wanted to identify. And the 3 things in our industry were the fact that the current fundraising industry in America is really product-based, traditionally selling cookie dough, candy bars, butter braids, unhealthy products. And with those product-based fundraisers, they don't typically benefit teachers. Well, we had a passion for teachers and education, so we wanted to solve that. And with Apex Fund Run, teachers get to keep 10% of what's raised in their classroom. So they have a direct benefit from our fundraiser, unlike any other in America. The second thing that we wanted to solve was those product-based fundraisers don't typically benefit students. They turn them into little door-to-door salespeople, or mom and dad take the order form to the office and pawn it off on their coworkers. We wanted something that directly benefited students. And so we created a program where we teach them leadership skills and fitness awareness, hopefully things that will impact them for a lifetime. And then the third piece was the fact that we saw schools struggle to raise money. And so we wanted a solution that helped them raise more money. With product-based fundraisers, the schools typically only get about 20 to 30% of the proceeds. It's a small cut. Most people don't realize it. And so we create a solution where the school gets the majority of the money, and the typical school that we serve across the country, we raise double or triple what they've ever raised before. Our average school that we serve in America nets $22,000 with our fundraiser. It's usually double or triple what they've ever seen. And so those were our 3 core things that we wanted to solve. We then created the systems that allowed us to solve that and created a business from it.
Awesome. Now, when it comes to business, there's lots of different models, lots of different avenues that can be taken. And you're a proponent of the franchise route. That's kind of the route that you went. So for somebody who's foreign to the concept, talk about exactly what a franchise business is and talk about why you chose to go that route.
It's a great question. There are many people, including your listeners, who struggle with working for a company, making money for other people, not controlling their own destiny, but yet they have that fear of making the jump. They maybe think they have an idea, or maybe they don't even have an idea, but they've always wanted to have their own business. Well, franchising is a great solution where you have the opportunity to buy into an existing business model that's a proven model, that has systems, that's worked the kinks out. So you're able to step in, follow their systems, take their lead, and really start a business much more quickly with a higher probability of success because of the fact that they've worked the kinks out. Now, the reason that I created our model as a franchise was because I wanted local business owners. Our business is a local community business. If I had people that just went all over the country serving schools, we could have a great program, but it would be nowhere near as good as what we offer. So with our business, we have local owners who care about their community, care about the schools in their community and the students in those schools, and they hire local athletes to serve those schools. And because it's a community-based business where you're serving local PTAs and PTOs, those are people that you may already know, or they're people you're going to see in your community at the grocery store, at the football game on Friday, even church on Sunday. And because of that, we know they're going to serve their schools in a way they can be proud of. So they can look those parents in the eye and smile and know they've served their schools with a great program. And so franchising is an opportunity to be able to step into a proven model with systems that work, that give you a roadmap towards success, as opposed to going out there and hoping and wishing that it's going to work. You can get into something where they're given a lot of guidance, a lot of support, a lot of training to help you succeed. With franchising, it's a win-win, lose-lose. If our franchisees are having success, then they're generating royalties, which drives our business. If they're not having success, then they're not doing well, neither are we. So we're in it together, and it's really a partnership. Where if you're out there starting a business on your own, you're putting all that weight on your shoulders and putting a lot of pressure on yourself to hope and pray that the business you've created is going to work out. And so that's kind of why I went that path and why I really advocate that path for many others.
So how does someone evaluate whether or not a particular franchise is a good investment for them to pursue?
Well, I think the thing to do is to really do your research, really research that business, be able to look at what success they've had, what growth they've had, what their other franchisees are doing, but also make sure that it's something does align with your passions. Don't just sign up for something for the sake of making money. That's never a good idea. You want it to be something you care about, something that's going to get you up every day and get you excited about going to work or going to the office or going to whatever the business is. So it's got to be something you care about. And then once you know you care about it, then make sure that it's a good model, that they actually are serving providing necessary service, filling a need, filling a niche in the market, and then do your research on the business and whether it's had success or failure. Because franchising is a regulated industry, we have what's called a franchise disclosure document. So any prospect can get a copy of that document. It's a long legal document, which I can scare people away, so I don't give them to them right out of the gate. But it's going to give you more information than you ever wanted about how that business works, what the financial side of it is, what your initial investment is, what the costs will be, and potentially what your revenues can be as well. And there's so much information in there for any type of franchise that you can really identify whether or not it's a good fit for you and whether or not it's something that can make you and your family a living.
Let's dig into that a little bit deeper, because I remember, way back when Ty and I even evaluated various different franchise opportunities. We looked at some of the big names, like Subway or McDonald's. I think there was a cleaning business, like a cleaner's business, a laundromat. We were just kind of researching, and there's just all these numbers everywhere, right? So let's talk about, you kind of briefly touched on, evaluating within the document that you give, people can evaluate the different costs. So let's talk about some of the different costs associated with this type of model of business going into a franchise business. Like, what are some different, what are the names of these different costs? And because I know they vary wildly depending on which business you're looking at, but what type of categories of costs should go into the evaluation process when trying to find the right franchise for you?
That's a great question, and even before I answer that, I want to help you with the other one. I know there's a lot of people who, if they start looking into franchising, they don't even know where to begin. There are a lot of documents and articles out there. There's Franchise Business Review, there's Franchise Times, there's lots of different organizations out there that list franchises, as well as organizations that can help you match you up with the right franchises. They can do personality assessments and interview you and determine what your passions, what your strengths are, and then give you 3 or 4 different franchises that are out there that might be good fits for you. Because our brand is unique. We're the only fundraising franchise in the world. And because of that, when people look into franchising, many times they see exactly what you saw. They see restaurants, cleaning services, elder care facilities, and they don't even realize that they can have a really fun, rewarding business like ours, because at the end of the day, there are 3,800 franchises in America, tons of them. And so you can look around and maybe never find the one that you're exactly looking for, but there are lists that come out by Franchise Business Review and others, Entrepreneur Magazine, that list franchises by category, by type of franchise. So you can narrow it down to an industry that you're excited about, and then start working your way into the options within that industry. So there's a lot of resources out there. Now, when it comes to actually looking at the investment levels, the initial cost to any franchise is the franchise fee. You're going to pay a fee to be able to get into that system, to have access to their manuals and their training and their systems that have made their business work. But in addition to that are the other things that you want to look into. And that's where you want to determine whether you want a bricks and mortar franchise, like you mentioned, a Subway or a McDonald's, where you're going to spend $500,000 to build out a restaurant or something before you've ever made a penny. Or do you want something that's home-based, that has a lower cost of entry? So for a business like ours, we have limited initial costs. You've got the franchise fee. Then for us, you have equipment that you need to purchase to be able to serve the schools with our program. You then have maybe to purchase some initial inventory as you begin to serve schools. But those are what we call item 7 within your franchise disclosure document. Every franchise is required to disclose all of the initial things that they have to purchase to start a business. And that's what you want to look at. You want to figure out what is your risk tolerance. What is the amount of money that you're willing to put in? What is the amount of money you're willing to borrow? There's lots of financing options out there to figure out what your all-in cost is between franchise fee, real estate if necessary, vehicles, marketing dollars, build-outs, inventory, all those different costs, to figure out what you're looking at, to then determine, okay, well, what's it going to take for me to break even on this business? How long is it going to take me to run this business? And what's my probability of not only breaking even, but then making a return on my investment and paying the bills and making a living for my family? And so that's an individual decision, obviously, on a family-by-family basis to know, okay, here's what we want to get into, here's what we're willing to invest or take a loan out for, but then also determining how much can this business make for me and how long am I okay with having to pay back that loan. Ours, as I mentioned, is a low cost of entry, a quick return on investment, and an annuity income because our schools rebook all the time. We have a great program that we reinvent ourselves every year with new theme, new curriculum, new programs. So for our business, it's an annuity. There are other businesses that are very, very expensive. I struggle with why people do a restaurant franchise. It is so much money, and it's going to take you years and years and years to recoup that investment. And they don't make a lot of money on an annual basis. So I struggle with that. Unless your passion happens to be food, restaurants, then I get it. But if it's not, that's a tough road to hoe, I believe.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we didn't do it.
Yep.
You know, I like the whole idea, the concept of not really having a brick and mortar, but being able to have my business mobile. I can really take it anywhere. It doesn't have to just stay at one location. So yeah, I love that. So if you could start all over again, prior to you starting your business, what are some of the things that you might have done differently?
That's a good question. I think the one thing I think the one thing that's difficult to learn as an entrepreneur is that none of us are great at everything. We all have strengths and weaknesses. And the sooner you identify that and self-actualize enough to realize what you're good at and what you're not good at, you need to outsource what you're not good at. Many people try to do it all. And when you try to do it all, you're not always going to be great at it. And so you really need to focus in on what your skills are, what your strengths are, and find those things to really focus on. And the things that you aren't, outsource it. If you're not great at accounting, get a bookkeeper. If you're not great at sales, find a salesperson. If you're not good at operations, get an operation person. You've got to find your strengths and what makes you happy and what you're going to be most successful with, and all the rest, find somebody else who that is their core competency. And so I think for myself, many of us are egotistical enough to think we are great at everything, even though we aren't. And I would have more quickly outsourced certain things faster than I did.
Yeah, that's great advice.
We agree with that too.
It's something that I think tons of entrepreneurs struggle with, because if you have the personality to strike out on your own, you think with an independent mindset. Like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get it done. I'm in control of my destiny. I don't need any help. But really, that could be a detriment long term. I mean, that might be the way to start out, because you're starting out bootstrapping and building up, but you can't stay in that place if you want to grow and if you want to expand your platform. So I think that's very, very sound advice. What are some book recommendations that you have for people who desire to learn more about pursuing, the path of being an entrepreneur?
I saw that question and was honestly hoping you wouldn't ask that one. I'm unfortunately not a big reader. I'm kind of more of a doer. So I kind of go out there, figure things out, and I'm a conversation guy. I believe in surrounding yourself with people that are better than you and really leveraging that. I believe in going out, go to networking events, go to different organizations in your community, find the people who have been successful and pick their brain. Sit down with them, spend time with them, talk to them about what worked, what didn't work. Really, I'm more of a believer in conversations to learn that than necessarily reading someone's book. But then also, you have to learn by experience. You just have to get out there and do it. A book can tell you everything that you want to know potentially, but you have to just do it for yourself. And I believe in finding those successful people in your community and find a reason or excuse to sit down with them, buy them a coffee, have a breakfast with them, buy them a lunch, and pick their brain. Most of the organizations in your community that are networking organizations, you can get into those organizations and there are lots of successful people in them. And most people love to share their stories, share their knowledge. Those of us who have been lucky enough to be successful, we love to mentor others and be able to help others. And so you will find lots of people in your community who would love to share their story and their experience with you. And I find that to be more valuable, specific experience than sitting in my my office reading a book.
Yeah.
So the book of life. The book of life is the way to go. Okay,
that's
got
right.
it.
I love it. I love it. So talk to that person right now that's listening to the show. And prior to the show, they had that fear of starting a business. And now after listening to your show, they're kind of feeling a little bit hopeful, like, okay, maybe I can do this. Speak to that person right now.
Yeah, I say, go for it. Life's short. You don't want to have regrets. And there are lots of great businesses out there. There's lots of great franchises out there that have proven models like ours that can be really rewarding, successful businesses. Believe in yourself. If you've got the belief in yourself, that's half the battle. Go out there and if you're willing to work hard, there's a way to have a successful business. Half the battle is putting the effort in and doing the job. And so with franchises, find one that connects with your passion. There's lots of financing options out there. I tell people all the time, if Apex Fund Run is the fun business for you, that is the community business that you want to help build leaders and teach fitness and raise money for schools, I'm looking for the right people. I don't care if they have a bank full of money. I want the right people. I will find a way to help you get the money to finance it, because then I know if you're passionate about it, you're going to do well. So look out there, find resources, look at the options for financing, and find a business you believe in and a model that works. And if you believe in yourself and you're willing to put in the work, it will work. You can do it. It's proven models all over the country that people have done it. And if you believe in yourself, you too can do it as well.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell everybody how they can connect with you and learn more about Apex Fund Run.
Absolutely. So they can go to our website, apexfundrun.com/HHM for His and Her Money, the podcast that we're on here today.
Awesome. Jeremy, we can't say thank you enough. That was great advice that you just shared with our audience. Your story is truly inspiring. So we thank thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show and share this with our audience today.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me. It was great meeting you, and I look forward to hearing from some of your guests and helping them have their own business someday.